Hello everyone, we are back in the building. Sherene, me, and Harpo. Harpo is just like gonna stay right here in the middle, so I'm sorry if I'm a little off to the side here. Big stuff happening. Monday the 20th.
Yes.
Summer solstice.
The summer solstice and a full moon on the same day.
Big deal.
Can you believe it?
And it's the second full moon.
The second full moon in Sagittarius this year, sequentially. So we just had one in May. And that only happens once every 2 or 3 years that you have a full moon in the same sign back to back like that. Usually we have like one full moon in each sign per year.
Right.
But because we had the last one in May in very, very early Sagittarius, this one is happening at the very last degree of Sagittarius.
So like
the
moves.
first degree and the last degree.
Yeah.
Beginning and end. So it's kind of like the beginning and the end of a story of Sagittarius for all of us. So depending on where Sagittarius falls in your chart, there's a lot of action going on there right now. Especially Sagittarians, you're really feeling it. Or if you're a Sagittarius rising, you're really feeling it. So this one is happening on the same day that the sun, it happens right before actually, the sun moves into Cancer. So first though, we should talk about the fact that this full moon is at the 29-degree mark of Sagittarius, which is called the galactic, it's the galactic plane. So it's a really like, it's like a power, it's like a portal. It's a really intense point. So there's something going on in terms of a culmination, a fever pitch of energies that are happening. It's very, very intense. In Vedic astrology, this is in the nakshatra, or the stars called Mula. So it's about uprooting something right now. It's about getting to the bottom of something in our lives. Like, so we may feel like something, it's almost like a volcanic energy. Like, what is coming up from the root? Like, what has been buried down there? That has to come up for our awareness, for truth, for revelation right now. A lot of deep truths are surfacing. And it's interesting how we have that. So it's like, the sun is at the very last degree of Gemini and the moon's at the very last degree of Sagittarius. So we may have a hard time sleeping, building up to the full moon this week. We may feel like our minds are so restless and there's just so much brewing. It's like, oh my God, all these like details, facts and figures. And we may feel so scattered because of that T-square that's been going on that we talked about in another video, where we're being pulled in 4 directions at once. It's like all this mutable energy. We're like all over the map. So that's culminating before we enter this new cardinal cycle of Cancer, which will happen on the same day but later that day.
Right.
In fact, I don't remember the exact time, but it's coming like Eastern time at 6:30 in the evening that the solstice is happening. And
So 3:30 West Coast time.
Yeah. And then the full moon is happening at, I lost my pocket astrologer, so I'm having to refer to the Mountain Astrologer, another really great reference. At 4 a.m. Pacific time is on June 20th is the full moon. So that's early in the day, and then the other one's happening in the evening. So, you can kind of feel the progression, in other words. So it's this really deep culmination that started with the full moon last month in May. We're coming to this fever pitch of like, what's the truth? Like, what is going, like, I've got to really decide what it is that I need to focus on. We can no longer be all over the map. We can no longer have 10,000 projects going on, even though we love that. We have to choose at least, a couple of the top priorities, I think, now. And then suddenly we're moving into this Cancer terrain where we're feeling really sensitive and nostalgic, and the sun and Venus both coming together in Cancer on the solstice, where it's like, oh my God, summer and summer memories, and that feeling of like our longing for the past, like the good old days, feeling really kicks in. So, and we really feel summer. Summer's here. So there's that kind of shift, and it's the longest day, so it's like really, the sun is so bright, it's so beautiful, and it's just a really magical time, but there's a lot happening.
Yeah. So I feel like what I'm hearing from you is that maybe during this full moon time, we might be really called to kind of pick a lane.
Yes, exactly.
Some of you guys need to pick a lane. Y'all like got too many lanes going on. So
yeah, or like too many windows open on the computer where it like crashes.
Too many windows, yeah, exactly.
Like okay, you want to like read 10 articles at once on Facebook, and so your computer starts to like slow
get bogged down.
It starts overheating. That's what mine does. I'm always reading a million things at the same time. You have 20 books in your bed like I do. I sleep with all my books.
Oh, I know. I always say I'm always reading like 6 books at the same time.
Yeah,
like,
so
none of them are ever getting done.
Saturn and Sagittarius is like, okay, come on, like rein it in, and then the full moon is like blowing up, like it's kind of saying, well, what's at the root of all of this? Like, what's really at the root of all of these things that you've got going, all these fires you've got going? Like, what is it that you're trying to achieve? And so I think once we move into this new Cancer cycle, we have to really tap back into our gut feeling about what's really important to us. Maybe we've been spread so thin that we forgot to like just eat regular meals and take good care of ourselves, and And we're like, oh my God, it's kind of like when you worked, you know, like when you're in school and then you like can't wait to go home and crash at your parents' house and just have them feed you because you're just so tired and your brain's like so overloaded. So it's kind of like that. Like, of course, now we're grown up, so we have to think, okay, I just worked, and now I want to just be taken care of, lay in the sun, have some barbecue, sleep, and, you know, rest. It's that kind of energy right now where we have to kind of get back to like what feels nurturing, what feels like home, what feels really good.
So as far as homework and practices and things like that?
Homework, what I would really recommend is getting to your truth. Like, where have you not been honest with yourself? I think, you know, we talked about in the Neptune retrograde video. Actually, we just talked about the Neptune-Saturn square, which we're still under also, that influence. So we were talking a lot about, like, what are we going to make regular rituals in our life? Like, what do we want to practice, and are we really showing up daily to do that? Because Jupiter's still in Virgo, which is also giving us that teaching for a couple more months. So, like, you're sure.
Practice, baby.
The significance of practice. You know, this is a big Saturn teaching, like showing up consistently to do the same thing over and over, even if you don't feel like it, even if you have every excuse in the book why you'd rather do something else, you do it anyway. This is the Saturn and Mars teaching of discipline and consistency, which ultimately leads to your dreams. Like, if you're not putting in the time and the effort and the work, it's very hard for something to build into something substantial. And so my advice during this time would be to like get to what really nurtures you and think about like what you like, even, you know, to think of our business or our work as like another home, because Cancer is all about the home. Like, and in the tarot, Cancer is the Chariot card in the major arcana. So it's all about like being on your path, and your path itself being the home. Again, so the practices, the things you're committed to. That's how you build a home. Like, we take the home with us, you know?
Rituals. You can also think of them as rituals.
Yeah, your rituals, like your daily rituals. That, what you show up for shows what you're really committed to. We can say, oh yeah, this is my dream, and how come this never happens, and I want this and that, but what are you actually showing up to do? This full moon's gonna really bring that up and out. Like, you can't hide under this full moon. It's really illuminating what the truth is.
Great. Wow, I feel like we can end on that note.
Great.
You can't hide, it's illuminating.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Yeah, it's a big one. All right, folks, do the work. I'll see you soon.